After 1 year of living on a Bitcoin standard, I've realized that this means very different things to different people. It's a personal evolution at our own pace, based on our specific situation, needs, and the depth of our understanding of fiat and Bitcoin. My goal today is to explain how I and others I've met are living on a Bitcoin standard, along with the lessons I would tell my past self to hopefully give you an example of this journey and what you may want to avoid. But before I dive in, I want to share the most important lesson I've learned, which is this. Your first cycle will be the most expensive in Bitcoin terms, and this will probably be true no matter when you get in. For example, if you tried living on a Bitcoin standard in 2010 when you needed 10,000 Bitcoin to buy a pizza, you'd have the exact same problem as if you tried in 2026. Why? Well, because if Bitcoin is the opposite of fiat, where you need more money every year to sustain a living due to monetary debasement, then in Bitcoin, you need less and less money every year thanks to the true free market where prices fall. The first 1 to 4 years will be the most expensive in Bitcoin terms for you, but that will also be your most expensive cycle moving forward as prices fall in your world. I'm already very careful about how I prioritize spending, but this year I realized I needed to be extra cautious about opportunity cost, meaning if I buy something now, I'll be missing out on exponential purchasing power in the future. However, this becomes less relevant over time as prices fall in Bitcoin terms. I also experienced that the fiat idea that we need to force spending for economic growth is so crazy. If I didn't have to, I wouldn't spend my Bitcoin. But for now, money's necessary for groceries, rent, running my website, etc. On a Bitcoin standard, you really experience how there's no need to force this consumer society. Thankfully, again, Bitcoin fixes this. So, talking about living in Bitcoin, I'm assuming you're around this middle part of my example spectrum here, so I won't get into the early part of the journey. And I want to mention this isn't about making money for me. This is about freedom. It's about choosing an operating system. From a high level, it's a conscious choice between a zero-sum game based on surveillance, control, slavery, and abundance for few. Essentially, you will own nothing and be happy. Or a global free market based on sovereign individuals serving the collective and the collective serving the sovereign individual. Freedom, unfathomable abundance for all. 8 billion people in service to 8 billion people, as Jeff Booth says. Getting from one end to the other is just about consistently learning and making aligned choices, whatever that means for you. Speaking of Jeff, when I first heard him say, move your time into Bitcoin way back, I honestly didn't really know what that meant, but it made me want to find out, and it's actually so simple. Here are some questions that help me. What are you currently doing for fiat money? What are you passionate about? What could you offer the Bitcoin economy? How could you get paid in Bitcoin? And how can you do it in a way that's unique to you? For me, for example, I've been an online educator for years, and I'm interested in a wide variety of topics, from economics to metaphysics. Moving my time and skills into Bitcoin simply meant using my existing skills and interests for Bitcoin education rather than supporting the zero-sum game. I also saw undeniable parallels between spirituality and Bitcoin, and I just had to talk about it. So my proof of work was writing a book and reorienting my YouTube channel to these topics. From my perspective, I also had to eliminate any fiat incentives by completely demonetizing my YouTube channel and selling any assets I still had in fiat. This also meant no sponsors or ads. For getting paid in Bitcoin, the book is sold in Bitcoin. So when it comes to moving your time, I'd highly encourage you to explore these questions for yourself and see where it takes you. Now I feel like I'm contributing to the world I want to see. For you, it'll look totally different, of course, but consider this reflection to begin the journey. And by all means, please, when it comes to this last question, we don't need to all become Bitcoin podcasters, okay? There are lots of other ways to contribute to this space. Find what is unique and exciting to you. There's so much opportunity in Bitcoin right now. Everything that exists in fiat is being moved over there. but based on an operating system in service to humanity. So, this is where things get a bit tricky. And once again, I think it's a spectrum when it comes to income, savings, including assets, and/or spending. What does living on a Bitcoin standard actually mean? Well, there are circular economies around the world where it's possible to live in Bitcoin 100%, like Bitcoin Jungle or the community in Madeira. However, most people don't have access to this yet, and neither do I. And it's a full time job to onboard merchants. So, this past year, my audience paid me 50% in Bitcoin, 50% in fiat for the book. I have no fiat assets, and I buy what I can in Bitcoin from merchants directly who accept it, online or in person. But my landlord has no interest in Bitcoin whatsoever. I tried. So I sell small amounts every month to cover my needs. That's how I'm doing it. But there are many other ways. I know someone who's using stablecoins as a strategy, for example, though I wouldn't touch them personally. Gift cards and Bitcoin payment cards are other options. So I think I'm about here in the spectrum, but there's definitely room for improvement. Find what works for you and just know you don't have to be 100% all the time in Bitcoin to be on a Bitcoin standard. Slowly move your income, savings, assets, spending, and time at your own pace if you so choose. Here are some important lessons. If I could go back in time, I would love to tell my past self. If I were to embark on this journey again, I would DCA. I would prioritize dollar cost averaging as a strategy and resisting the urge to time the market. Early on, I tried and I really sucked at it. I mostly bought the top because I'm not a trader and I do not aspire to be one. So if I were to go back in time and tell myself, I would say, hey, buy small amounts of Bitcoin over time, like, I don't know, $20, $50 every week, rather than lump sums. And really, it doesn't matter when you buy. It just matters that you hodl for 4 to 8 years minimum. So that's my next point. Um, I wouldn't attempt a full transition to a Bitcoin standard until I held it for 4 to 8 years. Now, my serious hodling period was actually 4 years long, but I would have preferred, of course, to be closer to 2 cycles if I had more time. But I couldn't stand being in fiat anymore. Like the discomfort, the cognitive dissonance was too much for me. Like I needed to not be in fiat. So thankfully, I had that at least 1 cycle of savings, and getting paid in Bitcoin really has a massive impact. It changes everything. I'll talk about that more in a future video, though. I would also tell myself it's okay to spend Bitcoin. I had such a hard time switching my mindset from hodling initially, but it's so necessary. So if you're still in fiat, spend and replace. But if you're in Bitcoin now, you already know how important and impactful it is for Bitcoin to effectively become a medium of exchange and actually succeed. And if I could go back to my past self, I'd say, Dan, do not get into crypto, okay? Crypto's fiat, it's a zero-sum game. Everyone loses. I thought it was, quote, faster horses. I guess it's just part of the journey for some of us. And if I could, I would have skipped that completely. So, yes, lesson learned. So, of course, this isn't financial advice, and my only invitation is for you to learn more about Bitcoin. But my strategy over the years has been this: learn about fiat, understand the Ponzi down to the sand, unlearn Bitcoin because everything I'd heard about Bitcoin was not true. And I had to go and research it to understand why from first principles. Understand Bitcoin deeply because you can't move over to a Bitcoin standard unless you have a high level of conviction or understanding of what this protocol entails, at least for now. Since this takes time, this was like my hodl cycle. So I would continue to learn and DCA out of fiat and into Bitcoin, buying small amounts every week with your fiat income. And then when you can, when you're ready, if that's what you would like to do, transition your life more into Bitcoin and then enjoy life. That's the whole point. This is freedom. We're not in it to make a pile of cash or a pile of Bitcoin. That's completely irrelevant, really. Essentially, the point is to be free and to be able to enjoy your life, explore, learn, do what you're passionate about. In our current fiat world, Bitcoin is the ultimate way to detach your time from your income and to be able to give back to yourself and others. So yeah, taking a page from my own book for just enjoying being a human being rather than a human doing. I'd also like to address a few common hurdles we may face on this journey. I need more money first. I had this belief. And I'd say to myself, more pieces of paper for what? Your working for paper encourages the printer that steals your life force energy, your freedom, the thing that you actually want. And this very mechanism increases the price of Bitcoin, making it even less accessible. Just get paid in Bitcoin directly. For I need more sats, I'd say, why not get paid in sats directly? And I'd also ask, how much do you really need in a world where prices fall to the marginal cost of production? Your book isn't called Beyond Money for nothing. Going back to the fiat mine is something I often see on social media from Bitcoiners. And to this, I would ask, why? Do you believe that you have agency to leave? And I have to, I must, I need to, I can't. Of course, I had a bunch of these. And to those, I would ask, who says this? Who is the voice in your head? Are these self-imposed prisons? Actually, asking myself these questions about why I was still in Canada helped me finally leave. So, yeah, things have definitely changed for me since I moved it to Bitcoin. I feel more free. I get to make whatever videos I want whenever I want because I'm not trying to feed the algorithm anymore. I feel like my values and actions are more aligned and I'm contributing to the world I want to see. Ultimately, exploring alternatives to the status quo isn't about grand gestures or overnight transformations. It's about asking ourselves what we truly value and then seeking paths that align with those values. If you've been feeling a sense of unease or longing for something more on this earth, if you find yourself wondering if there's another way, I can only encourage you to explore deeper. Keep reading, keep researching, keep understanding why fiat money is a control system at the root of the darkness we see in the world: war, poverty, hunger, environmental degradation. And be the consciousness in action by choosing the operating system you desire to experience. Your time matters. Your conscious action is the change. This journey will be different for all of us. I can only encourage you to seek sovereignty, truth, liberation. If you're interested in accelerating your understanding of Bitcoin, I've condensed over 10,000 hours down the rabbit hole into a book at the crossroads of Bitcoin and spirituality, which doesn't mean religion for me. It just means a deeper search for truth. This book is called Beyond Money, and it's available for purchase in Bitcoin from my website. And it's a direct way to support this movement and build a life aligned with its principles. You can also get a digital copy completely anonymously. My channel has no ads, no sponsors, so if you'd like to support my work, consider value for value. Thank you.